AI is going absolutely crazy at the moment and seamlessly taking over the world. So I had a little think of how it could relate to me and the content I make on this channel. And I know a lot of people struggle with gaining inspiration to create stuff in Planet Zoo. So I thought it'd be quite interesting to get AI to design a habitat for me, and then I would recreate that habitat in Planet Zoo. And this is what happened. The online application that I did use to design this habitat for this Planet Zoo video is ChatGPT. Now, in no way is this video sponsored by them, nothing like that. It's not a paid commercial or anything like that. It just seemed to be the easiest and most efficient and quickest way to design this habitat for me, and the detail what it actually produced was, well, outstanding. Honestly, I was actually taken back by it. I've not actually used ChatGPT before, so having this was a little bit of an introduction, but I literally just typed in design me a small habitat for one animal. I didn't go with a large habitat because looking at the detail of the small habitat, a large habitat would have just been absurd. This video would have been about 20 minutes long, so we wasn't doing that. But look, even at the end of the script here, it shows a layout of the actual habitat, how it should look from a top-down point of view, like a diagram. That's brilliant, that's amazing. We're going to take bits of these information and we're going to transfer it now into the game. So it started with giving us the name of the animal it's actually going to design a habitat for, and in this case it's the red panda, so we will be creating a red panda enclosure. So obviously we selected the correct biome and the select continent, and now we need to start building with the instructions that we have got. Now, when I first start building any habitat in Planet Zoo, the first thing I like to do is start with the barriers or the hard shelter, so the main building or the viewing area for our guests. So that's what I did with this. Now, if we just look at ChatGPT and what's it suggesting us to do, it's saying glass panels, install low fences with glass viewing panels for guests to observe without disturbing the animals. So obviously the first thing we're going to throw in there is our lovely 2x4 meter glass panel, and we're going to create a custom barrier and then use null barriers to make sure our animals don't escape. It's also saying that our custom made lovely glass barriers should be at least 1.5 meters, 5 feet height to prevent escape. Now, I don't know the practicalities of this, of how the mechanics work, but I'm pretty sure obviously the red pandas are animals what climb, they probably can escape this, so we're going to play around with settings a little bit and turn some settings off. If you didn't know, you can actually click on a group of items in game and just turn off the ability for animals to be able to climb them. And you can see that our custom barrier is coming together now. We've got those all important glass barriers, what it's telling us to put in, and we're going to create the wooden pieces around it. And we're going to use a lot of the pieces from the East Asia theme, and that's just to keep it in theme with the animals that we're creating for, and the biome and the continent, and that's what I love doing, and that's what it suggests to do in the AI output anyway. So let's do that. Just finishing it off, putting that in. We've actually put 2 glass panes in there as well, just to give it a little bit more of a realistic atmosphere, really. The thicker glass means that animals can't smash it, right? Well, that's the idea I went with, and that is the barrier pretty much done. So what we're going to do is we're going to group all that together, and we can move it as ever we want. And we're just going to move it to one side because I am going to create another taller separate barrier. Now, yes, it's not told me to do this, but I felt like having all that barrier the same is just going to look stupid. And it does actually say in the output of the AI generator to have one side as the viewing area. So that means we wouldn't have the whole of this see-through viewing area barrier around the whole of the outside of the habitat, right? So I'm going to create a higher fence, a bit more privacy for the animals, and we make sure we've only got that one viewing area like the AI states. And once again, we're going to use the same similar building pieces in the East Asia theme. I actually quite like these wood pieces. Unfortunately, you can't recolour them, but I kind of like the colour they actually come as. We're just going to build a really simple fence here. We've got like some groundwork in there. You can see at the bottom we've got like a stone slab or the fence post would stick in. Again, just trying to make it a little bit more realistic so it looked like it would actually work if it was in real life. And we're going to add these mesh fences to the top. Now, the reason we're doing that is to well, give the impression that it's anti-climb without using the in-game barriers. Like I said, you can click on this fence and just turn climbing off, or you can, if you're in sandbox mode, you can actually click in your settings and change your settings to make sure your animals can't escape. But yeah, any other mode you can just turn climbing off certain pieces. So that's what we're going to do for all our barriers to make sure our pesky red pandas cannot jump over these fences. But yeah, I love giving the impression that things work like this and just adding to the realistic aspect. And the mesh looks really well. I'm just really happy how it came out looking as well. We're going to add a center post as well, and there we go. We've got our 2 barriers. Let's move them to the side now, ready to use them when we want to use them. And now we're going to focus on the other main part. Remember, barriers is one of the main things I love starting with and creating in the first, but now we need to create our hard shelter. So let's have a look what our AI has generated and said what we should be building for our hard shelter. As you can see here under the terrain and landscaping paragraph, we've got 3 bullet points, with the third one as titled shelter. Provide a sheltered area using a wooden house or hollow tree trunks and sleeping and privacy. Now, we're not going to go with the hollow trunks. We want to do something a little more better than that. So we're going to go with the wood structure, and we're going to create a mainly wood structure, but with kind of like a tile base, again with the same theming of East Asia. And we actually look at the bottom of all the information it's given us. We did get given that little diagram, didn't we? That kind of like little road map of how it's going to look, and you can see where the shelter is. And at the side of it, it's got the water source, and at the front, it's got the climbable objects. So that's the kind of plan that we're going to go with. Obviously, that's a very vague plan to create a whole habitat for the red pandas. But yeah, we're going to create a shelter, and we're going to put the water source right next to that shelter. And what I'll do is I'll briefly describe what I'm actually doing here. Basically, I'm creating a custom wall. So we've gone on the wall grid piece, so it's on the grid so we can keep everything aligned, and that's the best way to create custom walls. So then creating a custom wall with the pieces from the East Asia theme, as well as these stained Indonesian wood pieces, I believe they're called. We've got that tile at bottom as well, and there we go. That's our custom wall. That's going to be how everything looks, and it's very easy to copy it over because we've got an on the grid piece on the back. We can delete that after, don't worry about that. It just makes everything so much easier when you've got that on the grid piece, just to be able to duplicate it over and align it up like you can see me doing now, and creating the structure itself, our main hard shelter. Now we're going to build this, and then this is going to be the made hard shelter in the privacy area for our animals, for our red pandas, and then the body of water will be next to it as well. We're going to make it look man-made as well. I didn't want a natural looking body of water. I wanted it like, well, it would be in a zoo if it wasn't built by terrain what was already there. And yeah, that's just the look I was going with, and I am really happy how it came out looking. I'm actually really impressed with the capabilities of ChatGPT, the AI system what we used. And you know, a lot of people are not happy with AI. I mean, leave a comment in the section. What do you think of AI? Go down in the comment section, leave a comment. Let me know. It'll be quite interesting to gauge everyone's views of it. Do you think it's a good thing going forward for the future? Do you think it's a bad thing? People are being very skeptical about it and being like, well, a bit over the top with it, and coming up with conspiracy theories that AI is going to take over humans, and you know what I mean, like you see in the films and stuff like that. There's many films what portray that image of AI killing humans or taking over the human race because we're now useless because we've got AI. But it is getting very much advanced now, more than lately. In the last couple of years, it seems to have just absolutely blown up. And yeah, I'm actually using it for the first time. I can see how it can be helpful in many ways. I mean, there's in Starlink, what Elon Musk is building, I don't know too much about AI, but there's some incredible things going on. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And by the way, in the description box, you will find my Steam Workshop page. I will put this on the Steam Workshop page. It'll be named something like Planet Zoo's first AI created habitat, or something silly like that. I'm not too sure yet, but I will leave the link in the description down below for you. We've added the slopes, what's going to give access for our animals, easy access. I'm just going to add a simple roof, again with the same kind of theme, just a flat roof. I kept this quite simple, apart from the fact that it's got custom walls. It is quite a simple build. We're going to delete those walls, like I said, of wood, so everything's now off the grid, and it's more of a solid wooden structure now, isn't it? And now that is complete, it was time to move on to the water, and I wanted the building to lead off into the water. So to get access to the water, you can get access from inside, or you can access the water body and then swim up to the main structure. I hope that makes sense. It made sense in my brain. So we're going to add a slope into the water as well. We're going to use the terrain tool very precisely as well. We're using the terrain stamp instead of freehanding it here, just to make it look more man-built. We're going to add a trim around the water as well, just to give it kind of like a swimming pool look. And you can see one of the big gates is in at the back now. I've just lined off and closed that back area with the larger homemade barrier, what we created earlier at the start of the video. We're going to add the water, and then we're just going to start layering on the plaster pieces and making it look like a man-made pool of water. This was more time consuming than I actually thought it would be, so I will fast forward until the pool is fully lined with the plaster pieces. And then we've got the body of water is all lined now, and never mind the red pandas. I wouldn't mind living there, to be honest with you, and having a dip in that pool now and again. The whole backline is done with our custom gate, so it's now time to move on to the next area. Oh, by the way, before we do that, I have just put like a gap here, and this is basically going to be where we put our habitat gate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the wooden gate, and I'm just going to put it in the back here, and then we're going to use no barriers for everything. So we're just going to slide that in ever so slightly, make sure everything's lined up as well. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and that's what I like to do. Then we'll change it to null, so we've just got our gate in and our barriers ready to go in as well. And it does actually say that it should include one entrance for staff at one end for good accessibility. So that's what we went with. Right, let's start bringing in the other barriers to create our main viewing area. Remember, these are only going to be one viewing area. That's what it states when we did the AI thing. So that's what we're going to give. I'm just changing the path here and messing about with some of the paths to see which one suits. Do end up including a custom path, I'm not going to lie, because obviously the paths in this game are the best in my opinion. But yeah, we need to get some barriers in, and then what happens to me all the time, every time I play Planet Zoo, is I always get distracted with something else. I think, oh, let's get the barriers in, then I think, no, let's start creating a climbing frame. Oh yeah, I saw the two squares in the diagram. I'll just pop it back up now. So I wanted to like recreate those two squares and build our climbing frame for our red pandas inside of these two squares. So they kind of look like sand pits, to be honest. So I thought, let's add sand and go with that kind of theme. The specifics to inside of the habitat, apart from the foliage and stuff like that, it doesn't actually say in our AI system, so I kind of just went with whatever I felt like suited with the theme. And we're going to go with prefabs. We're going to go with pre-made climbing frames from the habitat construction tab, because that's just the best way to do it. Honestly, what's the point of wasting time building stuff when you can just have it pre-made for you like that? And that's the same for blueprints. I don't actually use any blueprints from the Steam Workshop in this build, but don't be afraid to use them if you do want to use them. It just saves such a long time, especially with stuff like this with climbing frames. I only have to adjust them slightly so they're able to climb over everything. And then we added this tree trunk. Just I thought it looked a little bit better, to be honest with you, a little bit more different. And once it was added, I kind of like zoomed out a little bit and took a look and thought I need to change some of the terrain so it looks like the animals have actually traversed over the terrain, again adding to that realism aspect. And we're going to filter down the foliage to the bio and the theme, of course, and I play around with some different foliage types, but I didn't actually notice in the description from ChatGPT, I can't speak now, I've said ChatGPT so much that I can't say it anymore, but I did notice that the description and the instructions, what it was giving us, did include foliage types as well. So it says birch and stuff like that. So you can see me playing around with different stuff now, but I actually end up deleting it and just keeping it a little bit more simplified, and we do end up adding that birch like you can see me doing now. Don't worry, the tree is not hovering. The plan for this is put the trees where I want them and then build around them. I'm going to make custom made planters for these birch trees to go in, just to kind of like highlight them a bit more and make more of a point of them. Fast forward a little bit, and this is how it came out looking with those planters, what I've just said, in and the birch trees in them. I'll change angle now because I want to just show you on the right hand side of the habitat itself. I've kind of separated the barrier and added the bamboo because it does mention bamboo as well. On the left at the front you will see a gap. This is where our education point is going to be, so our guests can find out everything about the red pandas they need to know. And with a little bit more foliage added, some bushwork and all the habitat enrichment items that the red panda will need in, just adding my own little touch here I suppose. It was then to build this left hand side here with the education point. Simple board, simple screen, and then carried on the same theme of walls. And here we go with the education point in. The habitat is done. This is what AI has created for us, well, designed for us, and I've built in the end. Just to let you know, the red pandas are in and they're very happy. All their needs are met. They've got the right climbing equipment, they've got water what they can access, and most importantly they can't escape, because remember we turned escaping off as an option in our building pieces. The guest viewing area, like it said in the description of when it was AI generated with the glass panels, offers an amazing viewing point. Look at this red panda right here. I'm actually really surprised and really happy at how this came out looking. And you know what, I might even use AI in the future myself when I'm stuck for inspiration on something to build. And I'm going to leave the video there. I think AI has done a pretty good job at designing this, and I like to think I've done a pretty good job at building this. If you think so, then hit that like button. If you're new around here and you want to see all kinds of Planet Zoo videos like this, then you might as well subscribe. My name's Adam, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.